welcome to Lesson 8 at learningguitartoday.com. Today we're going to start playing some chords. We're going to just wade into it slowly, and we're going to start with some easier chords. And those chords are going to just focus on the lower 4 strings, so we're not going to move into strumming all 6 strings yet. We're having to make too complex a shape with our fingers. That's the most difficult part when first learning chords, is getting your fingers to stretch into these positions that they're not normally used to. So, first what we'll do is I'll introduce you to the chords that we're going to look at today. And I'm going to do that on the whiteboard. And then I'm going to show you the proper fingering of those chords. And then we'll look at a simple practice exercise that you can do over the next few days to improve your strumming and formation of those chords and playing them back to back as you strum. So let's get started. If you watched Lesson 7 where I introduced guitar tab, this shouldn't be too new to you because I'm using a sort of tablature here to explain these chords. So, just a quick refresher, the X's stand for strings that we don't strum or don't play. The numbers correspond to the frets we play. And if there's a 0 over the string, that means we play it open. So, let's start here. The first one is a simple C chord. That's not the technical name, I don't believe, but we'll call it a simple C. I call it that because it's only using 3 strings and you're only using 1 finger. So you're playing basically half a full C major chord. So by doing this, we're putting our first finger on the B string and we're strumming those bottom 3 strings. Or I guess the first 3 strings if you think back to the numbers. We're strumming the G, the B, and the E. Next up, we've got our simple G chord. The simple G chord, again, is those same 3 strings, but rather than our first finger on the B string, we're using it on the 3rd fret of the high E string. And then we're playing the G and the B string open, okay? And now, this is the most complex chord we're going to learn today. This is the D7th chord. This one introduces a couple things different. First, it introduces, we're actually strumming the D string as well as the G, B, and E. So we're strumming 4 strings. We're open on the D, but we're pressing 3 different frets at once. So we have to press on the 2nd fret of the G string, the 1st fret of the B string, and the 2nd fret of the G string. Okay? So that shape's going to require us to use our first 3 fingers, the index and then right up to our ring finger, index, middle, and ring finger, okay, to make that shape. So let's play some of these right now. We'll start with the simple C, okay? So in the simple C chord, we're only using our index finger and we're placing it on the 1st fret of the B string and we're strumming those bottom 3 strings. Okay? When you're strumming right now, if you're using a pick, you're using your thumb, just strum down. Don't worry about trying to strum up and down yet. Just start with down. We'll work up to that. Okay, so that was our simple C. Now our simple G, if you take a look, we're still going to use only 1 finger, but let's try something different this time. Instead of using your index finger, use your ring finger and place that on the 3rd fret of the high E string, okay? And again, strum just those 3 strings. Okay? So we've got our C, and then our G. Okay. Now this D7th chord, this is a little more difficult. Not because we're playing more strings, but if we look at it here, we've got 3 fingers we've got to use, like I said. So we're on the 2nd fret of the G string, the 1st fret of the B string, and the 2nd fret of the high E string, okay? So, I'm going to walk you through it here, and then I'm going to show you a close-up shot of my left hand on the fretboard so you can see exactly what we're doing. But what we're going to use is we're going to lead off with our middle finger here. We're going to put that on the 2nd fret of the G string, okay? Then we're going to take our index finger and we're going to put that on the first fret of the B string. Then we're going to take our ring finger and we're going to put it on the second fret of the high E, okay? So we've made sort of a triangle. Now we're going to play 4 strings at once. We're going to play the D, the G, the B, and the E strings, and we're going to strum those. So, sounds nice. That's a D7th. Okay? So, for practice, what I want you to do is first start just strumming each chord in a nice rhythm, nice slow fashion. Then switch from the C to the G. C, and then remember third finger, third fret of the E string, we've got our G. And we're going to go back to the C. Okay? Now that D7th chord, I want you to practice making that shape on your own before you start trying to work it into a progression with the C and the G chord. This shape is going to feel a little weird at first, and it's going to take some practice. So practice making the shape and playing the chord without muting any of the other strings. Remember back to the first beginner lessons we talked about using the tips of our fingers. So focus on making sure you're using those tips of the fingers and your thumb is down and back. You're not pressing too hard, just hard enough so that the strings make contact with the neck. Okay? And once you feel confident that you can make that, then practice taking your hand off, coming back to it, and playing it right away. Okay? And then work in playing the C chord to the D7th. Because your first finger stays in the same position on the B string between the C and the D7th chord. Okay? So, just to quickly recap, practice playing the C and the G on their own, then playing the C and the G, changing back and forth while you continue to strum. Only focus on the down strum right now. And at the same time, work on playing the D7th chord on its own, and then work in playing the C and then going to the D7th. Okay? And if you start to feel comfortable with that, definitely work in going C, D7th, G. And you can make up your own combinations and things like that as you go. So, just before we end this lesson, I'm going to show you a close-up of that D7th chord so you understand exactly what it is we're doing and how the shape looks. But that's the first lesson and intro to the chords you're going to be learning here. So we're at the at our nut here. So what we're going to do is we're only going to use these 3 fingers. And for the D7th chord, we're going to start with the second finger and we're going to put it on the second fret of our G string. Then we're going to take our first finger and put it on the first fret of our B string. Then we'll take our ring finger and put that on the third fret of the high E. And notice we sort of have a triangle here. This shape can feel a little weird, but notice how I'm using the tips of my fingers and you can't see my thumb over the top. I've got that down and behind. I'm not pressing too hard, I'm not stressing, just pressing hard enough so that the strings are touching the neck. And we'll play that. Okay? So that's how the shape should look for D7th. Thanks for watching Lesson 8 at Learning Guitar Today.